how does food affect blood sugar? So I kind of wanted to do like a demonstration on an insulin pool, but I didn't think that was totally appropriate for this demonstration, so we'll just kind of talk about it. Um, so I have here how does food affect blood sugar by the structure of the carbohydrate. So if it's more intact, like potatoes that are really starchy, it'll have more effect over the long term because of the load of the carbohydrates. And foods like table sugar would have the highest effect because it's just simple sugar. So in the digestive process, your body would be ready to absorb it almost immediately upon consumption. And so it varies from a lot of different foods. As you cook like fruits and vegetables, it tends to decrease the amount of total starch, so actually the total amount of sugar is higher, so therefore the blood sugar will respond more quickly. So added sugars in food can have an effect, but it depends on different components of the food. So like if it's like the granola bars, for example, although they may have some added sugar in the peanut butter or the chocolate, if it has some of the different proteins, it wouldn't have as much of an effect on blood sugar because of the different nutrients that are present. So if like protein and fat are present in the food, then that's how the blood sugar won't be affected. Does that make sense? Kind of?
Yeah.
All right.
So it counts on what type of sugar and what form it's in as far as the carbohydrates go and how it affects the blood sugar. So if it's a very simple one, it affects it quickly.
Yes.
And if it's a more complex one, it takes over time.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you're like eating a meal of a lot of different foods that have protein, different fats, fiber, starches, it would affect it more so over the long period because there's more of it, but there are different nutrients that the body has to process, so therefore it would take longer and it wouldn't have as big of an effect. So like, for example, if you had that meal versus just having a cupcake, for example, like alone,
Right.
the cupcake would have a much higher spike than
Just
the meal itself.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yes. And as mentioned, the presence of fiber would help with blood sugar, and the presence of other nutrients would also help.
Okay.
Like I mentioned, fats or such as butter, proteins such as meat. These different nutrients would help to alleviate the concerns with blood sugar. And just as a end point, kind of, I wanted to have you brainstorm on how do you think you can add more fiber to your diet. And I included this wonderful produce picture because that's a great example for where you want to start, really, for adding fiber. Even though some of these you may not like too much, it's good to consider some is better than none, and being willing to make the change slowly over time would have more help and benefit to you and your health. So what do you think?
Definitely adding more fruits and vegetables would definitely help. Next you from getting that.
Yes.
I do understand how the simple sugars do affect you because like last night I ate like some cookies by themselves and I checked my blood sugar right afterwards or 2 hours ago or something like that, and it was high, obviously. Then I got up this morning, I checked it again, it was still high. I ate a meal and it actually went up 4 points higher, so I was like, what's going on? But then I remembered that I have to vary
example, some additions that you could add would just be like maybe some fruit with your cookies, or maybe replacing one or two of the cookies with fruit,
Yeah.
and that would help.
Yeah.
Also, maybe some other type of protein that you could add with them, like maybe spreaded peanut butter with the cookies, just as an example, because it would add more nutrients
Exactly.
and help with blood sugar effect and what
Yeah.
have you. So that would be a good example.
Yeah. I think so too.
Yes.
That's so frustrating.
Well, that's all right. You know that you're making change to being healthier,
Yeah.
so that's good. I think it's good to take it one day at a time.
Yeah. I'm just gonna educate myself a little bit.
Yes.
Be more like present when I'm buying stuff. Instead of
Yes.
just grabbing, shopping when I'm hungry. Bad idea.
Yes, I think for this example, like a grocery list, yes, would be really good.
Yeah.
Just so you know exactly what you want to get, rather than being subject to what you see when you go into the grocery store, because most of the time
So colorful.
they're set up to entice you.
Yes.
Yes.
Trap. It's a trap.
Mhm.
I totally agree.
So, just as a recipe that I made that actually has quite a bit of fiber, and this is a recipe that came from a magazine that I currently read, and dietary fiber is 2 grams. This is actually 2 grams per bite. 2 grams of fiber, that is. And they're actually quite tasty. We're gonna get to try one.
Okay, cool.
So, I did bring a few, so you can take a few if you want. And this is just a healthy food. It has a lot of fiber. It also has fats and chocolate, as you see in the recipe.
It's like a no bake cut version.
Yes. The recipe was actually to soak the dates and then put the almonds in the food processor and then after you ground those, you add the dates, cocoa, and cherries, and just let them get kind of form a whole ball, because then you know they're nice and sticky and they'll be nice and able to be rolled nice and easily. And then chocolate chips was the last ingredient, and you would probably be okay without them. It's just an added extra. And these were semi-sweet chocolate chips, so they would help with fiber content as well. So even though it is chocolate,
Yeah.
it did have quite a bit of cocoa in it, so that helps with fiber intake as well.
They're really good.
That's good. I'm glad you like them.
Did you make me some?
So I just wanted to say thanks again for coming. And I think I would say we could be finished for now. I'm glad you enjoyed the snack, and I think that we are just going to continue to a question and answer session if you have any, and be done for the presentation.